So, I have been thinking about this a lot lately. You know how most people play Minecraft? It's kind of like there's this invisible pressure to move fast. Like, even if nobody says it out loud, there's this idea that you're supposed to progress quickly. You spawn in, get wood, get tools, find iron, then diamonds, go to the nether, get blaze rods, find the stronghold, beat the ender dragon, and that's the run. And I've done that a lot. It's fun in its own way. It feels efficient and you're always moving forward. But this time, I wanted to see what would happen if I just didn't do that. So I played Minecraft for 500 days and I didn't rush anything. No pressure to be efficient, no rushing to the important parts, no feeling like I had to optimize everything. I just played the game at whatever pace felt right in the moment. And it ended up feeling like a completely different experience. These are the 15 things I've learned after playing Minecraft for 500 days without rushing. One of the first changes was very simple. I stopped sprinting everywhere. Not because I'd made it a rule or anything, it just kind of happened naturally. When you're not in a rush, you don't feel the need to constantly move as fast as possible. Like, I still don't even have an elytra, you know? And when you stop sprinting, the world starts to feel bigger. Distances take longer, paths feel more real, traveling somewhere actually feels like going somewhere. And because you're moving slower, you start noticing things you'd normally miss. Like details in the terrain, little dips in the ground, random patches of flowers, caves that are tucked away just enough that you wouldn't see them if you were just running past. There were so many moments where I'd just be walking somewhere, not really thinking about anything in particular, and I'd notice something interesting that I definitely would have missed before. And those small moments started adding up. Another thing that changed is I stopped relying on coordinates. Again, not intentionally. I just didn't feel the need to use them as much. Because instead of jumping from place to place, I was actually spending time in areas. Like, this is the main area where I spent all the time. And that meant I started remembering where things were naturally. Not as numbers, but as places. I would remember that my base was past a certain hill, near a river that curves in a certain way. Or that village was on the other side of the stream or forest just beyond a clearing. It's hard to explain, but it made the world feel less like something I was navigating and more like somewhere I actually knew. Like the difference between following GPS directions and just knowing your way around in a city or something like that. And once that started happening, something else followed pretty naturally. I started creating little stories for everything. Not in a big dramatic way. Just small, quiet things. Just a little bit of lore here and there. Like, I'd come across a cave, and instead of just thinking, okay, resources, it would become, this is the cave where I got lost for way longer than I expected. Or I'd find a village, and instead of just using it for trading or robbing everything, I think about it as a real place. Like, who lives here? Like, what is this place supposed to be? Like, I'm not going to steal the stuff from the people that live here, you know? I'm gonna treat them like people. Even though the game doesn't really give you those answers, your brain kind of fills the gap. And suddenly your world feels like it has history. Not because the game tells you, but because you've experienced things there. Building things changed a lot too. Before, I'd usually build the bare minimum, you know, especially farms like... redstone things would be so ugly, things sticking out of the ground, horrible. A small base, you know, storage, maybe expand it later if I felt like it. But when you're not rushing, you actually slow down enough to care about how things look. You start thinking about details. Where the window go and how the lighting feels at night, what materials actually look good together. I'd found myself building things that didn't really have a purpose in terms of gameplay. Like adding extra rooms just because they made the space feel better, or creating a little outdoor areas that didn't do anything except look nice. And over time, my base stopped feeling like a temporary setup. It started feeling like somewhere I actually wanted to be. My camp feels like that. There are so many of these tiny little places that I like to just go there for no reason whatsoever. I just spend time there. I love it. And I think that's when the emotional attachment started to build. It wasn't instant, it just sort of grew over time. The more time I spent in the world, the more familiar everything became. Paths I'd walked 100 times, areas I'd slowly shaped and changed, buildings that I'd worked on bit by bit. Logging in didn't feel like starting fresh every time. It felt like coming back to something. Even the way I interacted with mobs changed. Like, hear me out. Passive mobs especially. Normally, they're just resources, right? Let's be honest. They're food, materials, whatever you need at the moment. But when you're not rushing, you don't feel the same urgency. So instead of immediately using everything, you just let things exist a bit more. You notice how animals move around, where they tend to gather, how they interact with the environment. Sometimes I'd keep animals around instead of farming them right away. And I had built some small areas for them, like nice areas. So it's a small shift, but it makes the world feel less mechanical. I did the same thing with the villagers. The villagers have a place to be, apart from there's some that they're a bit of a slave at the moment, but I'm trying to change that. But they all have jobs and they live in different places and they have lore behind it, rather than being all together in a one block, not being able to move and stuck there forever and ever. You know what I mean? Another thing I noticed is that I actually started finishing projects. Yes, we're all guilty of this. I'll start building something, get halfway through, and then get distracted by something else and not wanting to finish the project. Just me, right? But without the pressure to move on to the next important thing, you know? I just stuck with what I was doing. If I started something, I would keep working on it until it felt done. And finishing something like that feels different. It's not just checking a box, it feels complete. The whole experience also felt a lot less like work. They weren't really any chores. I wasn't logging in thinking about what I needed to grind or optimize. I'd just log in and think, what do I feel like doing right now? And that could be anything. Mining, building, exploring, or sometimes just walking around and adjusting small things. And even though I wasn't focused on progress still happened, just more naturally, less forced. I also noticed I wasn't relying on tutorials as much. Somehow part of me avoided them, but I didn't feel like I needed to look things up all the time. I was okay with figuring things out on my own, even though it meant a slower progress. Trying something, seeing how it works, adjusting it if it didn't. And yes, of course, that meant I failed more, a lot more, but it was more meaningful. But also, that didn't feel like a bad thing. Failing just became part of the process. If something didn't work, I'd try it again in a different way. And each time, I'd understand it a little better. So even mistakes felt useful. And I tried to keep everything in the videos. Like, if I made a mistake or the farm didn't work, it stayed. Because of that, progress felt more meaningful. It wasn't fast, but it felt earned. Getting better gear, upgrading things, improving builds, it all felt like it happened at the right pace. Even small improvements felt important. Like, I delayed getting diamond armor for a very long time, but when I got it, it was like, wow, this is huge. I felt like so safe now that I have this armor. Same thing happened with tools. When I got tools with enchantments, wow, it was like night and day. So really made a huge difference. I also started noticing the atmosphere more. Things like the music especially, or even the silence between the tracks when there's no music playing. When you're not rushing, those quiet moments stand out. You notice the environment more, the way lighting changes throughout the days, the sounds around you. And when the music does come in, it feels more noticeable, more connected to what you're doing. And because I have been playing this game for a very long time, the music really transports me to when I was younger and I started playing Minecraft for the first time. That music really brings that nostalgia back. Woo, I'm getting emotional about this. One of the biggest differences though is I didn't really feel burned out. When you rush through everything, you can hit a point when there's nothing left to chase. And that's usually when the game starts to feel empty. By playing like this, there was always something. Not because I had a list of things to do, but because I just kept finding things I wanted to do. And eventually the whole mindset shifts. You're not trying to complete the game anymore. You're just in the world, living it in a way. There's no checklist, no pressure to move on to the next thing. Just a space that keeps growing over time. A space that is yours, a space that is safe, a space that you want to come back to again and again. After 500 days, I didn't have the fastest progress. As you can see, my base is very simple. I didn't have the most optimized setup, but I had a world that actually meant something to me. A place I remembered, a place I built up over time with you guys, a place that felt familiar. And somewhere along the way, without really noticing exactly when, I fell in love with Minecraft again. Not in one big moment, but in a lot of small ones. So yeah, if you start a new world, you don't have to rush it. You can just take your time, play at your own pace, and see what kind of world you end up with. A big thank you to all of you for being part of this journey with me. Lots of ups and downs. So a big thank you and a psychological hug all the way from Middle Earth. I love you and leave you, and I'll see you in the next one.